Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on social media. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Flatzoid, Quantum Eraser, Righteous Force, Paul, 10th Man, and I think that's about it in Skype and Google+. Hello all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Hello. And we've also got a whole bunch of people in Discord as well, so hello to all of you in Discord.
Hello.
Hello.
Very a bit more encouraging than the last days gone by. Anyway, any signs of Earth curvature?
Not from California.
Any sense of what?
Zero.
Earth
Go
curve.
flat in South Africa.
No? Flat. Okay. Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Nope, still standing up straight.
None.
Not
Nope.
No Johnny Globe heads amongst us today? Clearly not.
that's
Any
It's going to be a quick housekeeping.
any scientific evidence of gravity?
What is gravity?
Ending of a conceptual medium.
What?
Gravity.
no.
No.
Anybody at all? Scientific evidence? Gravity? Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Definitely not.
Nope.
Hey, Arwin. Alrighty then.
Hello.
Yeah.
Any evidence
Hello,
of
Arwin.
a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Completely unprovable.
Still just marshmallows over a fire. Yummy.
Any evidence that you can have gas pressure, like we all breathe, without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
No.
I do have a question about that, though.
This is your moment, my friend.
Thanks. I can't articulate it. Obviously, I know I'm a flat earther, but I can't. When someone says to me, "Oh, we do have gas pressure, and we're on a ball, but we have it anyway," but they can't back it up with evidence. But I can't then articulate myself to say why we don't. Could you sort of elaborate and help me out?
What? Explain why we must have a container?
Yeah. Well, not a container. Yeah. Basically, a container.
In essence, you can't have one without the other. So, without the container, there is no pressure. That's a quote from a guy who goes by the name of Conspiracy Cats on YouTube, former science teacher, and he explains that without the container, there can be no pressure. End quote. So, in essence, you have to have something to press on to have pressure. And in their example, rather than something to press upon, they've got an area to disperse into. So in their world of vacuums next to gas pressures, the gas by its nature would want to expand into it. But the fact that it's still here, by implication, implies it's got something to press upon. Because without the container,
But
there can be no pressure.
Their argument is that the gradient, the pressure gradient. So he said to me, we have a pressure gradient without any observable or provable container. That's what he's saying.
Okay. So
and he goes, can you please demonstrate 100% pressure gradient inside a container?
That can be done. It's been done by a couple of people, one on each side. So you've got guy Hillbilly Blue Balls who did a pipe with a gradient using butane and the atmosphere. And then you've got a guy called Good Times for All, Zachary Sabala, GUDTIMS, number 4 ALL. That's Zachary Zabala, Good Times for All, who did a container that he heated one end of it and got a varying pressure, i.e. a pressure gradient in a container. So there's a couple of examples of just that, gas pressure gradients with a container. Our argument wouldn't be to demonstrate that it can be done. It would be to take that one step further, i.e. the argument I gave you a moment ago is without the container there can be no pressure. Without pressure there can be no pressure gradient. So first you have pressure, then you have a pressure gradient. In other words,
that makes sense.
It makes it's a not a red herring. Is it a straw man argument? It kind of seems to address your point, but doesn't, because it's you may have heard us say on the show delta X and X. Well, delta X is gas pressure gradient and X is gas pressure. Well, you're going to have gas pressure first. In other words, it doesn't address the argument because without the container there can be no pressure. Conspiracy Cats.
Perfect. That makes absolute sense to me. Absolute sense.
One thing that needs to be reiterated though is Hillbilly Blue Balls was bunk.
His assertion in the title was bunk. He asserted that he was demonstrating gas pressure without a container, whereas what he did was demonstrate.
But it wasn't the container.
Yeah.
Sorry, without a container, but it was a container. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a container, a nice long container. Anyway, he demonstrated gas pressure gradients in a container inadvertently whilst attempting to debunk the notion that you would need a container to press upon. There we go.
Yeah, he was trying to disprove it where he actually proved it. Yeah. He kicked himself in the teeth.
See, the problem is the Globers think a container has to have a lid.
Good morning, guys.
Morning, Chocolate.
Hey.
No chocolate.
Anything else on gas pressure without a container or gas pressure gradients without a container? Anything? Anybody? Any evidence of the presupposition that Earth has a spherical radius, the R value? Anybody?
There are be none here.
No.
Hey, Owen.
Hello.
No.
No, there is no R value. How would they even measure it?
Measure?
Assumption.
They don't. They've only dug down 12k.
Yeah.
They're not measuring it. They're deriving it from the path of the sun. And then assuming that sun is traversing the outside edge of a sphere, they presuppose when they take that value of circumference, if you will, and turn it into a spherical radius. Isn't that lovely?
Swear.
And they all got married and lived happily ever after. And so is the fairy tale.
We really need Globers on here.
Doesn't seem so.
Oh, and you do need a lid on that container. Because eventually the gas will escape. So entropy is directly proportional to time. You got to have a top on that container. Eventually it'll escape.
Agreed, but they say it's no container if it doesn't have a lid. That's their problem.
Well, they say they have an ozone layer, don't they? So something shielding the Earth. That's what they say, the magnetic field. That's what they say.
Hillbilly Blue Balls one just proved that like it didn't have a lid, but it was a lid because the gas was heavier and was down there, essentially creating a lid. So you don't have to have a lid.
Yeah,
You
I was
do
just
have to
dancing
created
way
have
around
by,
it.
will escape. He only listen.
yeah, it
This
will
was
over
just a
time.
little.
Yeah.
This was an Elmer Fudd trick, right? Okay, let's try this. Let's make that pipe 6 feet in diameter
Yeah, we've had this argument before.
and 3 feet tall.
Yeah. It wouldn't work.
But it wouldn't work in the first instance. It's just you're increasing the effect entropy would have by making the pipe a different dimension. But it doesn't change the effect.
Yeah.
It's just slowed down if you decrease the diameter of the pipe.
Yeah.
Likewise,
Yeah,
I
I
like to just immediately use an analogy of a tyre. So a tyre is a container. You put a screw in it, and there's little gaps for the air to escape. But most of the air inside the tyre hits the rubber, and then it hits the wheel. Then it hits the rubber, then it hits the wheel. Every so often, it hits the hole and escapes. But to all intents and purposes, it's containing the pressure for the most part. Now, John's point is that you do need a lid on the container. In other words, if there's a screw in the tyre, eventually it'll all escape. Eventually.
Yeah, well, like I named it before, like Bob Blue Balls created a leaky container. It's a slow leak. So,
Yeah, slow puncher. Precisely the same analogy. Exactly.
Exactly. Yep, we're on the same page.
Unless you wanted to add something, John.
Now it's just a little parlor trick. Like I said, make the pipe 6 feet in diameter and 3 feet wide. See how long that butane stays in there.
Right on. I think that's it for the housekeeping questions, though. I think we've covered it all. Unless did I miss anything? I don't think so.
I see Paul's got wind currents on again.
Yeah, I've stuck it up.
No, it's just
Have
for,
you guys noticed
it's
that
just
a lot of the movies
just for you, Nathan.
the,
Just to have it up there.
Thanks.
That's all.
like
Sorry,
Well,
mind warps. Just do you want to just repeat yourself? We were discussing the graphics that are old renderings of.
I was just saying, have you noticed that a lot of the movies that are coming out like loosely flat Earth based, like that abominable cartoon movie for kids and the second Frozen movie, they kind of bring in like an ice wall and land beyond the ice and stuff like that. And have you seen
Really?
that?
Ice
It's
wall?
interesting.
Yeah, they bring in very subtly.
Game of Thrones has the
Yeah.
ice wall also.
Yeah, they've got the narrative they want
Yeah,
it
but
to
have you
be in
noticed that?
future. I mean,
It's almost like slow exposure, like or something. I don't know. It's weird.
like a slow release of a controlled narrative, that sort of thing.
Pretty much.
Or a straw man.
Or a straw man, I don't care which.
Yeah, it's almost like they're creating it to make it look like it's a make-believe thing, so people look at us and go, "Yeah, look, you guys believe this crap." Because
Well, with the ice
they
wall
know they've got
on
to
Game
try
of
and do
Thrones, a
something.
lot of people use it to like kind of make fun of it, like make fun of flat Earth in a sense. So it works
That's
that way
exactly
too.
what I'm getting at. Like, yeah, it's almost like they're starting to just push out all these movies, like the same way they did with that Netflix. Like I can't stand watching that that Netflix doco with that lady that sadly left us. What was her name? Patricia and a few other people. It just made everyone look stupid, and that was their whole intent. Like
Behind the
people
curve.
like that, and
But it's
now they're
still-
releasing like they're releasing that Abominable, which is trying to bring him back beyond his land beyond the ice wall, and then now Frozen, she's got to try and traverse through the ice to get back to the center, and it's all just yeah.
You know what I think
just
of
thought-
ice? I usually put in my drink.
What?
What's that?
Ice. I usually put in my cool drink.
Don't you think it's weird though?
I mean, we could.
Yeah,
We could. I mean, depends how you want to analyze it. You could analyze it about the many layers of subliminal programming and their purpose for putting them in there, or you could argue about how it's, like you say, presenting a straw man for people to debunk if they ever come to argue it, or you could argue it that it's positive programming and that they are actually trying to convince people of this nonsense model. There's a million different ways you could analyze it, but it is what it is. And personally, I think that it's poison, all of it. I've switched off from all of it, TV, movies, the lot. It's just sitting here analysing why the movie producers, the people who are essentially trying to program you and indoctrinate you with this material, well, let's analyse it. It's like, I personally, I'm not saying everyone should do this, obviously do as you want to do, but I step back from it because then it doesn't concern me anymore. Literally, I haven't got a care in the world in that regard. Same goes for the news. Most of it's propaganda, so why concern yourself with it, as opposed to pulling apart whether or not it's fake?
Yeah, well, I get bored watching
I
the
applaud
news.
you for that, because it can get very draining trying to negotiate through all this crap sometimes. That's why I'm kind of learning now to take a lot of things with a grain of salt, because I was getting way too involved, and that's why I left and came back, and I left and I came back because it was just getting to me too much. But it's kind of like before, the saying used to go that to change history, it only took like 4 generations. Whereas now, with the way the world is, it probably only takes 1 or 2 generations to really change like the past. So, is it a slow release of information? So like the kids are watching this and then they're gonna eventually say, oh yeah, by the way, the earth is flat, and you're not gonna freak out so much, because we showed it to you in kids movies? Or is it, like you say, it could just be like straw manning the heck out of us? So
Well,
I
like
don't know.
Nathan said it, he said it pretty concisely. Like it's like a little bit of everything. Like making fun is also part of the first step of waking up, So even if it is put out there in making fun kind of way, eventually people stop laughing and they like wake up to it, right? What is that thing? They say the first step is laughing at it, then the second step is, and so on. But yeah, who knows? I still think it could be like a slow control release has to be there.
Yeah, I think it's maybe opening
That's
doors
what I
for
think it is,
NASA.
personally.
One day has to say, listen, now we couldn't make it to the moon, so proving a flat Earth
Yeah.
without.
And they can't just do it like quickly. It has to be slow release. That's why I'm saying like it's going to be a generational thing.
Yeah. So maybe generations later on will be like, oh, NASA actually proved a flat Earth.
Yeah.
It's always been flat.
Like a laxative. Let that shit out slowly.
Very Coriolis.
Nathan always has a way of putting things very concisely and landing everybody's thoughts.
Bloody ice walls. I'm sick of it.
Oh, jeez. That's funny.
Did somebody say ice wall?
Yeah, me. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. All of the narratives, they all point at bloody ice walls.
Yeah, I personally don't believe. I believe in an plane. That's my viewpoint on it. But I don't really care what other people's view on it is. We all know it's not a globe. That's the main thing.
Well, let's put it this way. I haven't been that far enough to see if it's ice walls or whatever. For me, what I see is what I see. I observe is so far motionless and flat.
Exactly. But I applaud you guys. Hey, like, especially you, Nathan. Like, I'm kind of learning from you. Like, what you just said then, like, really rang true with me. Because I got so run down when I first got onto this topic. I was just like, oh my god.
Hold on.
What, the laxative?
The laxative thing.
How he was saying, like, just not giving a crap about a lot of the things, like taking everything with a grain of salt. You kind of have to, otherwise it just eats away at you.
Well, that's kind of not my point. I'm saying don't take it at all. Forget taking it and the salt. The grain of salt is watching the mainstream media and going, I don't necessarily believe this. Why analyse it at all is my point. Don't take it at all.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm meaning as well. Like, I don't watch the news and I don't watch a whole lot of these movies because I'm just looking at it going, yeah, right, this is bullshit. You know,
If it's negative, just toss it out. Like if it brings you down, just.
And that's why I go and come back and go and come back, and you guys are like,
Well, why
"Man,
would you
this guy
leave?
must be
Why would you leave this
the
community? What's
forever."
in this community that's making you upset or getting to you?
No, it wasn't the community. It was just me in general. Like I just was just overwhelmed at the beginning. Hey, I suppose.
Are you sharing your pain?
Yeah, but this is flat Earth pain.
I
It's
am.
different.
Yeah.
It isn't.
I never
very
went to that at all. I thought it was. I never experienced that at all.
It's
So
just-
I guess none of you are going to go see the blockbuster hit with Brad Pitt called Ad Astra, I take it.
what's it called?
No
AD,
chance, mate. Absolutely
Ad
no chance.
Astra.
Ad Astra.
Yeah, just you can
Is it
Google
sci-fi,
it.
is it?
He's got to go into the false medium space to fix something that his daddy did that's going to destroy the Earth. I mean, it's so apocalyptic in the man's way and reifying space. It's crazy. End of the month. It's coming out. It's going to brainwash some more people.
Right. No, that's not on my wish list. Gotta be honest. I was just going to say that Mind Warp's not in pain because of cognitive dissonance and having it pointed out to him. It's more that, I don't know, well, you tell us where you have told us.
No, it was just more the fact that, like, you know, when you first like get into the whole flat Earth thing, and like I look at things more than flat Earth. Like it's like a rabbit hole, you know.
Oh, I see.
You
So
just
many
realise-
times this comes in useful. I reference Conspiracy Cats describing what he would have to contemplate when interviewed by Jonathan on Haunted House channel. Check it out. And he explains that he might end up at the tip of that rabbit hole looking how everything's, you know, not quite as it presents itself, and you might have been deceived on more than one level. It's not just necessarily the nature of your entire reality and how you're not living on a sphere flying through a vacuum. There could be other things you've been deceived about, and that's kind of scary and depressing, and you wouldn't want to have to face that now, would you, was what he explained. So you're obviously over the precipice, so therefore you're experiencing that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, as you know, I haven't been here long. Like I've probably been here like a year, maybe 8 months. So you know, like, but then there was a little while there where it was just there was a couple of people that were coming on this show just being like the same thing over and over and over and over again. I won't name the person, but and I was
Do you want
just
me
like,
to sum it up? Save you the journey down the rabbit hole. You're legally dead.
Yeah,
the
with the
world's not a
journey down the
sphere,
rabbit hole.
and the news is fake. There you go. That
Yeah.
saved you the trouble.
Exactly. You're dead at sea. Yeah, we're all actually dead at sea.
Well, there you go. Get on with life now. Now start looking how beautiful everything is. Now you know. On with life.
And your birth certificate is a bond. Yeah.
Oh no! Don't dwell on any of
Go
that.
on.
Don't dwell on it. Just get on with what's what. You know, your involvement in the Matrix by way of birth certification or whatever is just kind of like. A guy called Delcrux once described this to me, and he was like, "Well, you know, you have to involve yourself in life." And he described your straw man as like a coat that he put on. You know, every time he has to go down to what would be the DVLA or whoever to register his car and get the tax for it, so he can keep driving it without hassle. He's like, yeah, well, you put on your dusty old straw man coat and you go down and you use your legal name and you take it off again when you get home again. It's just that simple.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like when you first find this all out, you just like, you look around and you're just like, fuck this. Like what is everything? Everything is just not what you thought it was. And you just like process it all. And you have to kind of just step back for a bit and just re-evaluate everything, you know?
That's interesting.
So that was me.
When you say everything isn't what you thought it was, no, the silicon plastic world that you're presented with isn't what it was supposed to be and told to be. The world that you are actually in is exactly as it always was. The Earth was always and always will be obviously and observably flat. The nature of your general surroundings haven't changed in the slightest. But the poison, the bit I'm saying I don't take with a grain of salt, I just don't even take it, is the bit the bit you're describing. Oh, the world isn't as I thought it was. But you're saying as though it's the real world that isn't as you thought it was. Well, no. The pretend world that they presented you with and lied to you about, that wasn't ever your world. So you can just relinquish yourself of it, and the quicker you do, the less depressed you'll be.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to do.
But from there on in, it's party time.
What it is.
Life's pretty
Never
sweet.
experienced it.
That'll be $150 made out to Nathan Oakley.
You what? No, for the therapy. Yeah.
Yeah, the therapy.
Did you see my I put the mental health hospital around the corner as a tag. It came up as a suggestion when I uploaded the video. So I was like, mental help here with the tag underneath on the scheduling video. Only one person noticed.
No, I didn't. I was too pissed while I was looking at it.
Too pissed? What do you mean? What's the problem?
Well, I made a suggestion and no one ever didn't say anything to it. I figured, wow, thanks a lot.
What was your suggestion? I didn't see any suggestion.
Oh, you didn't? It wasn't a suggestion. I said, no, we can talk shop after. I'm not going to talk now.
That sounds ominous. Oh dear. Have I done something wrong?
No, it's not that big a deal.
Have I done something wrong?
Well, it just sounded ominous, that was all.
No, not at all. Must be my new mic.
That sounds all right. It's all good now. I think now you've turned the mic down, I've turned your level up, and everything's now hunky-dory. There's no feedback. Shout out to the Observer 1 for the super chat. Ace, their level... I can't read it on that screen. Let's just get it on the other one. Are there levels of real? What you experience, that would be real. What you haven't yet experienced might not even be there. So
the really is level, like we like to operate over here, unlike other people that like to operate on the not really is level. Yeah.
But outside of... I phrase this carefully so I don't get in any grief from QE. Outside of what has ever been experienced, it might not be at all. Is that careful enough phrasing?
That's pretty good.
Not bad.
Yeah, because they have to define real.
I think there's real and delta real.
Well, you didn't hear what QE just said. Define real.
Yeah, I heard what he said, yeah.
The long pause where everyone thinks about it for a minute. Should I be the one stepping forward here? What is real?
I like pretending like I have the answer, right? I listen, I just want you to define it. So you can step your toes in there. I'm not going to bring out the flamethrower.
And Morpheus puts it perfectly. What is real?
Well, I know what's real. The Earth is obviously and observably flat.
Not an example. What is it?
Well, if you're talking to a sentient being with a mind, it's the understanding of everything around you that you're able to process with your cognitive mind.
What about the things that aren't sentient that still seem to communicate with one another? What about those?
Well, that you are not able to use the same cognitive processes and they become metaphysical or spiritual.
Oh yeah, so automatically metaphysical, these physical things and their interactions. Why would you say such things?
Well, because there is more to life than physical.
Yeah, but just because we've got a physical thing with a physical interaction that isn't sentient doesn't make it supernatural.
No, what I'm trying to say, I guess, in the broader way is I don't believe a rock could experience its surroundings the way I experience my surroundings.
So that was perfectly led. So how does a rock experience things, 10th man?
Well, this is my point. It doesn't.
This is your point, is it? Oh, I thought I led you. There we go.
It doesn't. Because when I talk to it, it doesn't respond back.
It's not that it doesn't. It's just you can't define it.
No, I'm touching it. I'm saying hello, Rock. I mean, it's like
I'm. What about that rock now?
I'm waiting. You're responding to me, so you're not a rock.
Yeah, thanks for wasting our time.
You already said it doesn't, so yeah, we're on the same page. I'm just toying with you.
No, I'm having fun with you too.
Of course, this is your point.
Still waiting for a definition of real.
I obfuscated beautifully there. Why would you say such things, John, when I'd obfuscated this off the track so nicely?
Yeah, you did. It was a work of art, but back to business. What's real?
Grant, someone must have a Google search up by now.
Well, we know where this is going.
No one's going to get their toes burnt.
All right.
Don't be scared.
Well, it was on Kiwi Show yesterday. That's all I'm going to say.
Subscribe today. Quantum Eraser channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, 8 p.m. UK, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Be here or be sphere.
I'll take a guess, I guess. I'll say physical and natural world.
Ballbusters tomorrow, 2 p.m. U.S. Central, 8 p.m. UK. Busting those train wreck globe arguments.
Yeah, this goes out afterwards for the main audience, by the way. Only applicable if you're watching live. Anyway, we had a contender. You were just too in the moment of plugging your own channel. Do you want to try again, Righteous Force? I heard you.
The physical and natural world?
So real would be the physical and natural world. Not bad.
Okay.
Not bad. Morpheus says what you can feel, taste, smell, and touch. And that's kind of akin to what 10th Man was saying as a sentient being, what you experience by way of your senses.
So anything other than that is not real?
Well, no, we're getting to supernatural then, don't we?
No, my question was real, not natural or supernatural.
Would our thoughts be considered like metaphysical?
No, here we go. So it's covered by physics then.
Thoughts, information, time, thoughts, mathematics. They're not physical or natural.
Yeah. I'm tutting and sighing. It's just my gates closed low enough to not hear my tuts and sighs.
Are they not real?
Yeah, they're real. Come on, someone else have an attempt. I'm losing my smile fast here.
So, on a positive note.
Well, wouldn't it be all things that are subjected, provingly so by all the natural laws?
What natural law does information follow?
Sorry?
What natural law does information follow? Like, look out, there's a tiger behind you.
Does information suffer entropy?
Entropy, yeah.
I would say not, no.
Well, information always gets more complex, and more elaborate.
So the Observer 1 says, thanks for the super chat, by the way, physical and natural phenomenon. So we just had, we just already gone. He just smashed Arwin with the same thing. I'm sorry, you were just pipped by Arwin, who's already had the reply. Do you want to give the same reply to the super chatter, Quantum Eraser?
Yeah. What about information? Is information real? Right. If it is, we have a problem.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yep. Then we got a problem with that previous definition.
Anything experienced by an observer, a knower?
How do we know?
Not observer, not observer, a knower.
How do we know it's real? It can only be experienced by a conscious person.
I got there first.
No, you didn't.
I got there first. Come on, I was there first, wasn't I? The audience will back me. It's my show. They better. Anything experienced? Well, go on, QE. It doesn't matter. We'll say.
Is that what you were looking for? Something experienced by somebody? I thought that would be
a knower.
Information is not.
Hold on.
Information is Only
was looking for
subjective.
something a lot
no
more
rumpusing.
complicated. I'm
Chocolate's
sitting
trying to
here
get
like,
in on it now.
you gotta
Look,
know
right.
it for it to be real. So I don't know what else you could be looking for.
Yeah, we've got
subjective.
All three of us aren't getting our answer unless we all shut up now. So we've got Chocolate, Arwin, and I. Go ahead, Kiwi.
I heard a whole bunch of whistling in the background. Did anyone else hear that?
Oh, come on, Noah's.
Yeah, that's me at my job. Yeah.
Noah's.
Oh, okay. All right, back on subject.
Anything experienced by a
is
Noah?
Real?
A Noah. Anything
Say
experienced
again,
by?
I didn't hear you. I was over talking you. Go ahead, say that one more time.
I'm on mute.
Causing feedback, by the way, Kiwi. Try and be a bit more vigilant with your mute button. Anyway, yeah, I can hear myself talking back through your line, Kiwi. Just maybe if you can turn your line down a bit more on your mic, and I'll turn you up on mine. That'd be brilliant. Anyway, anything that's experienced. You did hear me. I'm not repeating it again. You've had it from Chocolate. You've had it from me. You've had it from Armin. That's causing dead air. Anything experienced by a Noah?
Sure. I don't know. I
Not
think
you,
that...
Arwin. You said it as well at the same time as me. Kudos.
Right. It's subjective. Information can only be experienced by a knower. So without a knower, it isn't anything.
Yeah, that's our claim.
Nothing else than a knower can interpret
Arwin,
information.
that's our claim. Yeah, as a reply to the question from QE. He's heard it. I've summarised it. We're just waiting for a response, not a summary of the claim again. That's our response to his question. We get it.
I'm worried about the feedback. I was turning my mic down.
Remember, John? I think it was almost beginning of the year when I came on Ballbusters and asked about the Noah. I think it was the tree fallen. I don't know if you remember that.
We might come to that shortly. Yes. Good point. Yes.
I like your definition. I like the definition that you guys had. It's a pretty good definition.
I'd say information is supernatural.
But it's experienced by you, the knower.
Right. Just like concepts. So it is not physical and natural.
We're getting off in the weeds now. What is real is the question. And a good, according to QE, a good summary of the answer would be anything that's experienced by a knower. Are we all on the same page with what we mean when we say specifically the word knower as opposed to viewer or something similar?
Right.
Yeah.
Person with memory.
Well, not even person.
Person who experienced it.
It requires memory to actually build experience. If you don't remember it, then you haven't experienced it.
It's just the information wouldn't exist without the knower. So the information was how we got onto this tangent. So how does the information exist? Is that supernatural? Well, the information comes about by way of knower. You don't have a knower, you don't have the information, right?
Yeah. It's a good definition. You guys did really good.
Chocolate was in third place. Me and Arwin level first. Very good. So we know what real is. That's good. So moving on, Flatsoid was pointing out about the tree in the woods thing. So this might blow a few people's mind. So maybe you can ask the question first, and I'll give you the answer. Flatsoid, what's the question to summarise?
Let's just say you're walking around in the woods, and you come across a tree that has fallen on the road. Has it fallen before you were there, or has it fallen once you got there? How would you know?
Sure. Or a variant on it is, does a tree in the woods make a sound if no one is there? Similar thing. So, to give the succinct answer, there is no tree.
The answer is no, and moreover, there is no tree.
Nonsense. No, I disagree.
Disagree. Okay.
Now, here's the thing though about that. A falling tree is a process. So it means if I get a chainsaw and I cut it and I'm watching it falling, I am gaining information. If the tree's lying on the ground, you can't say that it failed technically because you didn't actually see the process.
How are you gaining information by cutting a tree?
Let's just take it back to stuff that we have talked about. So, in terms of when we've talked about the quantum eraser, the delayed choice double slit, right? Well, in that, you've got a situation that is almost the origin of why they started experimentation with light, which is also probably why it's wrapped up in doublespeak and confusion with wave-particle duality. But you've got a diffraction pattern. Well, what's a diffraction pattern? Well, it's a probability distribution. Now, that experiment can be scaled up in terms of the size of the matter that they fire. In terms of its physicality, it's bigger, and it behaves exactly the same. So what does that, in terms of your conclusions, what can you draw when you have the experimental validity given to what causes the actualization of those two physical bars? In other words, after what is mathematical, get that in quick, wave function collapse. Well, if you take a step back and analyse what the wave function itself is, it's a probability distribution. So prior to a knower experiencing and understanding the information, there was only a probability. Now there's going to be a few people who track along with that and go, holy fuck, there is no tree. And there's going to be a few people who go, what the hell is he babbling on about? But there we go.
Distribution, it's all math detraction. It's very simple to me, really. What causes that whole band to split up the way it does? It's just how going past surfaces, having interaction with surfaces, which is what the slits exactly are, how it influences the deviation of light by close proximity. And then apparently, it does split up in this specific fashion.
What's
So
experiencing
more
what
like
now?
there's
Hold
some
on.
kind of oscillation going on,
Quick
splitting
question.
it up like that.
Quick question, Owen. What's interacting with what now?
Interacting indirectly with the surface of the slits it's going past.
Okay, you're describing the light or matter that passes through the double slit. Is that what you're saying?
No,
the
light.
interaction is?
Light.
But without anybody there, what would you end up with? Well, not without anybody there. That's wrong phraseology. Just let me correct.
I don't know.
Let me self-correct
Depends
just
on
before
if
it gets
it's
in. Hold on. Without any knowledge of the path which the light passed through, without that knowledge, what will be the pattern in that setup?
I don't think it's relevant to that setup.
It is. Knowledge of the which path is what causes
Not
the
if
wave.
you're just going to shine light in it.
Oh,
If you're going to shine light, it's always going to do that.
At this point, I'm
It's
getting
not
rumpus
gonna
towards
change,
shit,
but
and it's
what
complicated
may
stuff.
change if
I'm
you're
going
going
to
to
give up.
send
Okay, I give up.
mini light beams one at a time. Then things may change. But not if you're just going to output general amounts of light. It's always going to follow that pattern.
Did you give up, Nathan?
I did, yeah.
That's a good move.
Bit of dead air, so I might have another attempt though. So, prior to any information about which path the light took, the net result is only the probability distribution of the light. So it's not been, I don't know if this is the right word, but it's not been actualized yet. The thing that actualized it, if that's the correct terminology, is the acquisition of the information by a knower. Somebody who then knows about the path that it took.
Be careful. Be careful. Not exactly.
Okay.
Not how I see it, but
just be careful. It's not knowledge. It's information existing. That is, if there is information existing and it's retrievable, then the wave function will collapse.
Sure.
Doesn't have to be known just yet. However, there's an incestuous feedback loop between information and knowledge, right? You can't have one without the other.
No, I totally get it. While I'm
So
saying
how
these
could you
things,
ever confirm this concept if by just getting to know it will always alter it? It seems
No.
like an unprovable experiment to me, really.
it is proven. QED.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Exactly like that?
Anyway,
Or another device that does something more complicated?
It's called
Wanna
the delayed
continue off
choice
that
quantum erasers.
yeah, I just want to continue to that conversation to what you just
Oh,
said.
yeah, sure.
Yes,
Just
while I'm
point
trying
that
to,
out. That always
while
works
I'm
as-
getting rumpus to all shit, unless I stop talking, then there's dead air. Right. What are we?
I'm losing you, Nathan.
Yeah, it's because I'm not talking. Because when I do, I'm constantly interrupted mid-sentence. Yes, when I'm trying to phrase these things, John, in questioning somebody or leading them to the place I'm trying to lead them, in the back of my mind is the little example of the office that's connected via data link to the building with the double slit happening, and it's taking all the data and it sets on fire. Well, that's when you get the change in the experimental data that wasn't expected because the information is lost. But at some point prior to that, it was retrievable. Now, I know that, and I'm trying to phrase it with knowledge and information being used interchangeably where they're not. But it's too complex. This is just too complicated to have that quick fire debate with someone where you get them to the point, because there's just too many caveats to get in one breath before someone talks over you. It's nigh on impossible to have a reasonable discourse about this sort of conversation, which leads to the path of there is no spoon, there is no tree, there's only a probability distribution of reality until somebody knows about it. Now, I've said it again, knows, right? Correct, hopefully.
Yes, that's correct.
Right, but it's complicated when you've got constant interruptions and you're trying to follow your focus in terms of your phraseology, so you don't get it incorrect, but at the same time, that wasn't my focus, right? Yeah, the information, if retrievable at all, will still mean that tree is rendered. The tree's there if there was ever anybody experiencing it, and that information isn't completely lost to time in all ways, shapes, and forms. If it's in any way retrievable, that's still there. There's a tree, it's going to make a sound. Doesn't matter if you're there, because you could have a detector as opposed to a sentient being. But beyond the experience of a probability distribution, it isn't there. And that's really complicated. When you come to back it, it's back with experimental validity. When I talk about having the knowledge, well, that's been backed by experiment. The knowledge of the which path is your cause in the double slit. What causes wave function collapse? Wave function being a probability distribution of the light until it was known which path it went through by a knower. Prior to that, probability only.
Yeah, there's nothing there. Even though you say probability, that's just a construct, a mental construct to describe.
There is no tree. To describe there is no tree. Yeah, it's hard to say. Probability distribution is the mathematical, I don't want to say reification because it is just mathematical. So the mathematics of describing something, and so we can comprehend it. Is it a concept or is it a what's the other word? A convention.
It's a convention used to describe something. It describes, yeah. I guess you can call it a convention.
Right, but it's not actual. But, you know, these are ways of verbalizing something that's been described, I believe, by, is it Schrödinger originally?
Go ahead. What did he describe?
The wave function.
Yeah, that was his baby. Yeah.
Right.
Go ahead.
I just don't see what the purpose of any of this is, because you're only going to be dealing with things you're actually interacting with, therefore knowing, therefore collapsing this wave that can never be attained without putting attention on it in the first place. So it seems like, oh, there's this apparent thing. It's always going to be outside of reach. What the hell is even the use of this? It seems like a complete waste of time philosophy.
Really? You wouldn't be talking to us. You wouldn't be talking to us now.
About what's going to be happening or not.
What's it useful for?
Outside of your knowledge.
Oh my God! What's it useful for? Well, typically with
I wasn't finished yet. I am now.
Typically, with anything that has actual scientific validity, if you just present the experiment, which we often do, we're guilty of this, we talk about the double slit quantum eraser delay choice experiment, and it's not quantified. Well, pseudoscience produces nothing. Science produces useful technology when put into application. So, we wouldn't be having this conversation but for that experiment, Arwin.
I still don't see what the use of it all is. The
technology we're talking on.
Practically with the people that are talking about it is talk about things outside
I'm trying to tell
of
you,
their
you're just
knowledge
asking
and
the
how
same
it's
bloody
supposed to
question.
be.
Yeah, ask your same question through my answer. The technology we're talking on right now?
Talking about technology.
Yeah,
I'm
this
talking
technology.
about way people spend their time that deal with this.
Yeah.
Constantly conceptualizing about things outside of their knowledge. Like it's
physically
useful in some way.
You've said that already. We
Alright,
heard you.
why are you getting triggered?
Yeah, because
What's
I'm
wrong
trying to
with you
explain
right
it. He's saying it's not real. I'm saying the very technology we are communicating with right now is developed from quantum science.
Ooh.
Yeah,
great technology.
Yeah, most people piss all over science when they don't understand it based on the experimentation. But when you present them with some actual technology that's useful, suddenly the scientific validation that's been put into practical application seems very useful, doesn't it, Arwin? Contrary to your point.
Well, I'm not convinced that quantum issue...
Oh, really? Well, you're not convinced we're having this conversation on the technology derived from the mathematics and the science and the experimentation? Well, I don't care how convinced you are. This isn't agree or disagree.
Fine. I'm not even saying that's not the case. I'm just saying, how is that supposedly adapted to technology? Because I know it's claimed. I've heard that even 20 years ago that they were working on that. But I've never actually figured out how that could even work.
Just look up semiconductors.
No, because information
look up
is information.
semiconductors.
I know the official explanations, okay? I know them. They just don't make sense to me. I get it.
I've just said this. It doesn't. I've just said this. The explanation or the experimentation or the mathematical derivatives are irrelevant to Joe Normal. Because there is derived technology, application of the scientific validity. That's all that matters. Literally.
How?
Because if it wasn't valid, you wouldn't get anything useful out of the end of it.
That's a circular argument. How was it actually applied? Do you even understand that?
Hold on a second. Hey, Ranty.
Howdy.
Good to have you.
Howdy.
I just joined so that I could hear this when the show ends. It's quite funny and entertaining.
Is that a lie? Did you just want to plug Ranty's round table?
Absolutely not. Genuinely not.
Plug your show. Go on, plug your show.
You wanted to remind you?
No. I didn't join for that. I actually genuinely did join. So I thought I was going to listen to Arwin raging. I was afraid I was going to miss it.
A very serious point, and then I get a little louder when I'm halfway.
Leave Arwin alone. Arwin's the legend.
Like you're doing right now.
He doesn't need cheerleaders. We still think Arwin is ace, and
Arwin is the legend.
I agree.
Yeah, he is. That's not in question, though. Just so that's clear. In case anyone thought for a second this was in any way a slight against Darwin's credibility, it isn't.
I get a Coriolis question.
You have a Coriolis question?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, something said in the background. Sorry. Who said that?
That's not very fair. Yes, you can come to it in a second, Chris. Arwin's still got a question on the table, though.
I do?
Okay.
What do you mean I do? How did it come to pass when we said semiconductors? Well, I don't see the connection was what you stated, and then there was a bit of rumpusing. if there's not a question on the table, I'll happily move on.
Sure.
Well,
Semiconductors. Okay, semiconductors are quantum, of course. Okay.
We're all cool. We're still having this conversation on a computer. Then, when you're not unconvinced, happy days. Let's move on.
I know it's a piece of electronics. Don't see the correlation with any quantum ability, though.
Right. That's where I said we left off. Perfect. That's what I said. You've still got a question on the table.
Don't have to address it right now. Yeah. If you want to explain it, sure, go ahead. I'll see if there's actually something quantum related to it, or if it's actually something else, which it usually tends to be. So go ahead. If you want to explain it, fine.
Explain what?
That device that
What
supposedly
device?
proves quantum.
What do you mean prove quantum?
You know what I mean. You know that I had a question, practical application of this supposedly scientifically proven concept that has to do with information. So now prove that that actual effect is actually relevant to the design of this piece of electronics, please. That's actually applied in it.
Everything's quantum mechanics. That's what you get the periodic table from. It's when you say it's quantum, that's like saying...
No, don't get back on the way I described it. We were talking about the experiment, right? So how does the scientific conclusion from that knowledge of how that's supposed to work outside of knowledge, how does that apply to this electronic device?
Yeah, they use the proxy of the interference pattern, mainly with tunneling. How about that?
It's pattern.
Quantum
So
tunneling.
it doesn't have anything. It's just the interference pattern of light. Because the interference pattern of light always happens. It doesn't matter if you're going to be looking at it or not. Now, this was about the attention thing, about the actual knowing. So how does the actual knowing influence that piece of electronics? Not a wave pattern.
It's a red herring. How does the actual knowing of what?
Well, the alteration of a pathway due to knowledge, information. That's what it was all about.
Owen, have you ever thought of
apply to that electronics?
Have you ever thought of
Hold on a second,
like
Flatzoid. Hold on.
Say it again.
It's the whole issue concerning this experiment and how the knower, the information influence the pathway of what they're doing, of the light in this case. Okay, how the knowing influences this. It's very hard to check though, but you figure there's been a machine that can supposedly prove this. So I'm going to accept that supposedly proves that. I haven't actually witnessed it myself, but I'll take that for granted. Okay, so how does that actual knower affect the alteration of the light pathway due to knowing about it, due to the information? How does that relate to the actual functioning of that piece of electronics? Tell me how.
If you want to know the answer, you'll have to stay tuned if you are watching on the Nathan Oakley 1980 channel, as this is where we bid the live Nathan Oakley audience farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you tuned in, smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. As I say, stay tuned if you're watching on Nathan Oakley 1980 premiering stream. Massive thank you to all of today's live panel. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!